5 reasons why I picked the Leica SL2 instead of the Leica SL2-S. As a long time user of the Leica SL, it was time to upgrade and I wasn't sure which one to get. This camera has made me see the world totally differently. It's kind of crazy how one camera can have such an impact. I'll also share photos, videos, first impressions, best features and a checklist if you're going to get one of these cameras. Hey guys, Matt here from MrLeica.com. So first, 5 reasons why I eventually picked the SL2 and not the SL2-S. It's worth pointing out straight away both cameras are amazing and there are a lot of similar features between both cameras, so it's really quite difficult to kind of pick the one that I was going for. The first reason I picked the SL2 instead of the SL2-S is the SL2-S is 24 megapixels and it just feels too similar to my existing Leica SL camera. And I know some of you will say, yes, but Matt, you can shoot good video with the Leica SL2-S. And I'm like, yes, but people that shoot video have shown that you can get very similar footage from the Lumix S5 and similar Lumix cameras as you can the SL2-S. And I already own the Lumix S5, so for that reason I was like, okay, so that's one reason I'm going to go for the SL2. Number 2, the benefits of having a 47 megapixel sensor is I can use the ASP-C crop mode and it'd be more similar to my Leica CL, which would give me more reach with any lens with a 1.5 crop if I needed to use that. Now an extra bonus is if you use video, you can actually use the crop mode and still get 4K video. So this is particularly amazing if you want to shoot video with the SL2. Number 3 sounds a small point, but the base ISO of the Leica SL2 is 50, the same as the SL, and I'm a big fan of this because if I'm using fast lenses like a Light Lens Lab 50 1.2, which most of the photos from this video that you're seeing or will be seeing, and the video were mostly shot with a 50 1.2. With a 1.2 lens, having a base ISO of 50 gives you like one more stop of not needing to stop down if you're shooting video especially. I enjoy it and I've used that feature a lot on the SL over the years. Number 4, the autofocus of the SL2 is good enough for what I need. I shoot models if you see my videos before, and so most of the time I say, right, stay there, and I take my picture. I'm used to shooting manual focus lenses most of the time and other cameras that don't have autofocus, so I really didn't need like particularly good autofocus. It's worth mentioning I find the autofocus on the SL more than fast enough, so I knew that wasn't going to be an issue. And number 5, one of the main reasons people talk about the benefits of the SL2-S is the advanced video features. Now what you may not know is over the years the firmware updates to the SL2 brought most of the added features from the SL2-S to the SL2, so now the video features are pretty similar from both cameras. Talking video features, this camera has made me see the world totally differently. It's kind of crazy how one camera can have such an impact on how I see the world or my photography in general. Let me share some video clips and photos from my recent trip to Budapest. It was the first trip with this camera and I was interested to see what it can do. Shout out to Nick, I bought this camera on eBay and Nick went above and beyond to get this camera to me before my trip to Budapest. As you can hopefully see, this new camera is helping me see the world in a more finer, maybe more colourful detail than ever before. I think I've just started to appreciate both colours more, but also like the cinematic lighting that you can obviously get with low backlit sun, as you can see here. And I don't know, it seemed to like heighten my senses in terms of those sounds, colours especially, with me normally shooting black and white. And then I was just looking more, I was seeing more and kind of looking more for maybe nice lighting and maybe compositions, and then motion, so trying to get motion in all the kind of frames that I was doing. It was crazy. I was shooting more video than I was photos, and this is obviously me as a photographer, not a videographer. All the stuff you're seeing is totally ungraded, unedited, just super basic video clips straight from the camera. And even as a model photographer, I even use some vertical clips to then make reels for Instagram.
So I was doing my usual vertical photos, and then I was like, wait, I'll do a quick video clip, and then I included both on Instagram. Check out Instagram if you want to see more.
Okay, next, first impressions. Now, as a long time user of the Leica SL, I pretty much know my way around these cameras, and so I was expecting an easy transition. The biggest surprise is probably the grip. The grip on the SL2 is the same as the SL2-S. You've got more of an indent, and you've got this really, really grippy grip. You can just hang it off like two fingers and it feels super secure. If you look at the photo of the SL versus the SL2, they both have the white font, which I like, but the Leica SL2 just feels like a more refined Leica SL. I like the all black buttons on the top, and I like the more rounded body, like an old friend, but slightly more refined. If you look on the back of the Leica SL2 or SL2-S, you've got the 3-button design, the same as on my Leica CL. I like the easy 3-button design on the side and the same menus as the Leica CL. But you could probably argue that the SL4 unmarked black buttons is perhaps a little bit more sexy, a bit more minimal. So yeah, you can see why people prefer the SL buttons. Number 4, if you look on paper, the SL2 and SL2-S are heavier than the SL. In reality, after 5 minutes you forget that it's any different to the older camera, so yeah, weight really isn't an issue. And number 5, the SL2 and SL2-S both have the improved viewfinder, 5.76 resolution versus 4.4 on the old SL. The old SL was already great, but now they're even better. And you've also got the 3.2 inch screen instead of the older 3 inch. They sound great in practice, but in reality you kind of forget after the first half an hour that they're any different from the previous camera. So again, they're nice to have, but I think you'll soon forget they're any different from the previous model. Now, what are the best features of the Leica SL2? Now, the best features for me, they may be different for you, can also be found on the SL2-S. So again, both cameras are so similar. Number 1, these cameras give you USB-C charging, and it sounds so simple, but it is such a game changer. Like, you can see the massive smile on my face. I love this feature. It means every time between shoots, I was plugging the camera into charge, and I could do maybe 2 hours of photos and videos as like a tourist walking around Budapest, and do it all on one battery. Number 2, another feature that I definitely didn't know I needed, but absolutely love it now, is IBIS, in-body image stabilization. Now, as I say, I definitely didn't think I needed it, and if you see my old videos, you'll be like, you don't need IBIS. M cameras don't have IBIS, and you can still take great photos. The bit I overlooked is video. If you've got IBIS, you can now shoot handheld video and get a pretty decent, like, steady shot. Again, it's like a total game changer. You don't need to carry a tripod anymore to shoot video. Sounds really obvious, but it's funny. When I first got to Budapest, I woke up, the sun was coming through the blinds, and I was like, oh, it looks amazing. I need to take some cinematic video. So I grabbed the camera, turned it on, started recording these video clips. And it wasn't until after I realised that the IBIS wasn't set correctly because I hadn't set my lens profile, which then made me do static shots because I'm like, it's too shaky. As soon as I left the flat, I was like, oh, wait a minute, I've not turned on my IBIS settings. So turn that on, and then after that, it was really easy.
For my video settings, I was just using the standard mode, 4K, MP4, and then, as I say, none of this has been edited at all because I don't know how to do that yet, so I need to study kind of colour grading and things before I progress along my video route. So you can get this look straight out of the camera with no experience whatsoever. The lens I used for most of the photos, as mentioned, was the Light Lens Lab 51.2 1966, which is a remake of the Noctilux. I picked this particular lens because I think it looks more cinematic than most of the lenses that I've got. It's got a really nice orange warm flare as well. And then I just added a mist filter and also a variable ND KNF ND filter, and that allowed me to stop down enough to be able to shoot at pretty wide-ish, wide open apertures, even in sunny conditions like this, when shooting at ISO 50 and 60th of a second. I just left the shutter speed at 60th of a second for everything, and then adjusted the aperture once I'd maxed out my ND filter. So all the clips you're seeing are all handheld, as I say, nothing fancy. I'm just walking around, and it was, as I say, it's weird. As I said in the other video clips, I was seeing more video opportunities and photo opportunities. But that being said, as a photographer, maybe I better share some photos. So these are all obviously raw with the 51.2, and then I just applied my Mr. Leica SL2 presets. I really like the rich colours. That's one reason I picked the SL2. I did a blog post after testing the SL2 a while ago, and as soon as I revisited the photos, I was like, wow, the colours really, really rich. I mean, obviously they are edited with the preset, but the preset really brings them to life. So I think that's what pushed me to the SL2 rather than the SL2-S. I'm sure if I make presets for the SL2-S I could get just as nice photos, but yeah, it was the colours in particular that dragged me to the SL2.
Another great feature, especially if you're using video, is the 2 custom buttons on the front. In the past, the SL had 1, the SL2 and SL2S have 2. I use 1 button to switch between full frame and APS-C mode, and that's really good to just punch in for video. And then I use a second button to change my lens profile, which we'll get onto in a second. And finally, another great feature that I absolutely love, especially for video, is the APS-C crop mode, which I've already mentioned. I was walking around Budapest often with one lens, the 50-1.2 Leica Lens Lab, and I could do 1 frame and get a wide shot, and then select APS-C mode on the front with the front toggle button, press it again, and then I had a punched in version, which would have been a 75mm equivalent. And it's so handy for video if you want to carry less lenses. Now the question was it an easy transition from the SL to the SL2? And the answer is yes, but I overlooked a few features. I wrote a blog post, and I'll share that below if I've not already done so. Check out the blog post for all the details. But I made myself like a checklist of things I need to remember that are different from the SL. Number 1, now I'm using the SL2 with IBIS and I'm shooting video. I need to remember to set the lens profile manually, because I often use M lenses or like R lenses, things like that. You need to manually select your correct lens to make sure the image stabilization works. If not, you're going to get that shaky footage like I showed you earlier on of the sun coming through the blinds. If you're using a Voigtlander lens, it sounds obvious, but Voigtlander lenses are not 6-bit coded, so you just need to select the nearest lens in the list. So let's say using the 51.2 Voigtlander, you just select the 51.2 Noctilux, same as I did for the Leica Lens Lab. Second observation, and went on my checklist, is I filled my memory cards so quickly. I travel with my usual 2 64GB SD cards, which normally last me a whole trip, and I'd filled them by the end of day 1. One worry I did have is I was taking photos, everything was good, and then suddenly my EVF blacked out and the screen blacked out. I'm like, oh no. Bought a modern Leica camera and suddenly I've got the blackout, the camera goes dead on me, bricks on me in the middle of Budapest. And so I'm like, I've used Leicas for a long time and I teach other Leica students, so I'm like, I should be able to work this out. I'm normally helping students work out such problems. So I did all the normal things, took the battery out, nothing was working, took the lens off in case it was a lens mount. And what I'd done, I'd taken the lens off, but I was using the M lens on the Leica Lens Lab adapter. As soon as I wiggled the adapter, everything came back to life. So if you have a blackout on your EVF with either the SL2 or SL2S, or probably even the SL3, SL3S, just wiggle your lens if you're using an M lens or an R lens or any lens. It's not a native SL lens, and it'll be the connection between the lens and the body. So that was a bit of a fright, but yeah, all was good. Another worry which you may see, and I think students have mentioned this to me before, is suddenly what you see is what you get view, your PASM is no longer working. So you change your settings and your exposure looks the same in your viewfinder. I found this is a problem on the SL2 when you attach a flash trigger or flash unit to the top of your camera. It wasn't a problem on the SL, but they must have changed the firmware for the more modern cameras. So as soon as you attach a flash trigger or a flash to an SL2, it's probably going to be the same for all later SL cameras. Your PASM mode no longer works. So what you see is what you get stops working. So what you need to do is switch from PASM to PAS, which basically lets you see in the dark. The easiest way you'd probably do it is before you put your trigger on, check your exposure for your available light, then put your trigger on, and then you know your exposure is correct for the daylight, and then you just need to fix your flash. So after buying the Leica SL2, I then had to make a shopping list for all the things I needed. If you're using multiple SL lenses, you'll probably need a larger camera bag. So you might want to say a 7-litre Wotancraft bag compared to the 3.5 litre, which is what I use with one lens or multiple small M lenses. I then needed, as I say, bigger memory cards, so I got 2 SanDisk 128 gigs. I then realised my computer is going to be full very quickly, so I bought a 5 terabyte SSD portable hard drive for travel, and also a 5 terabyte cheaper hard drive plug-in to leave at my home. I then needed a high wattage USB-C charging cable to make sure that I can charge it when I'm abroad and get the maximum voltage through to the camera, and then also charge my MacBook. And then lastly, if you hate fingerprints the same as me, make sure you get a matte screen cover. Just go on eBay and search for Leica SL2 matte screen cover, put that on and say goodbye to fingerprints. I will make another video comparing maybe the SL to the SL2 and also against Lumix cameras. If you're interested in seeing that, feel free to subscribe. Hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, a huge thanks to our amazing patrons.